Gentle parenting. I have mixed thoughts. You, the parent, will probably be the best judge of what is best for your child's temperament. Kids are different. I'll tell on myself in a way where clearly you'll realize that in this instance, I'm wishing I was a gentle parent and I wasn't. And that has to do with sleep training. So I was raised where I would have as a young child, say if I was 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even as late as 7 or 8 years old, I used to have nightmares. I was in Africa, and these nightmares invariably were, I had 2 recurring nightmares. One, I was being chased by a lion, which was going to eat me, and I was going to die. And the other one, there was a train coming, and the tracks went right over my bed. In both cases, I would wake up the split second I was going to die. So the train was about to hit me. It actually would hit me. I'd wake up as my body was flying through the air, and I'd startle up, and I couldn't go back to sleep. I was petrified. Or in the case of the lion, if you've ever had a running dream as a kid, and you're trying to run away from something, your feet are in the sheets. They cannot move. So I'm like running in slow motion, and this lion is just catching me. I was petrified. And I would startle right before I died, before I was about to be eaten. I would walk to my parents' bed and just scared as could be, and they would march me back to my bed and said, "You're fine, you stay there in your room." And I would lay there absolutely in fear. I don't know how long. Eventually I might nod off. Some nights the dream would return. So that was not, in my opinion, gentle parenting. Well, I did the same thing for my kids in various versions where the rule was once you're in bed, you stay. Okay? Sleep training is what we call it, I suppose. And I'm not proud of this because my oldest son was afraid of closed spaces. Now, he had a 36-hour labor, and my mom, his grandmother, said, well, when she heard about the fear of closed spaces, well, of course, he was trapped in the tunnel. Which he was. He came out with the biggest cone head I've ever seen. Mashed up face. I mean, his getting out of the womb was probably about as traumatic as a birth can be. After 36 hours of being bashed, trying to get him through this narrow space that he wasn't going to fit, C-section. When he wanted reassurance at night and would come to our room, I would march him back to his room as I had been marched back, and I would warn him, if you come out of that room, I'm going to have to close that door on you. Well, he would march back out of the room, so I would march him back, and I would get the door even closer to close and say, I'm going to leave it open a little bit, but if you come out of this room, I'm going to close this door completely. Well, he would come back out of the room again, so I would go in, I would close the door, and just wait there for a minute. He is screaming bloody murder. And eventually I would open the door. I said, see, now I'm going to leave it closed if you keep coming out of that room. Eventually he would come out again, and I would hold it closed and let him scream longer. Eventually he would give up and allow me to open the door and stay in his room. And in that instance of parenting, I won, right? It doesn't feel like a victory to me. And, you know, as an older child and adult even, I feel like he has some anxiety tendencies.
Hey, how dare you?
Oh, that was him. He now produces this show. But I always wondered, had I been... I've had moms in my practice who are just so loving, so nurturing. I mean, I want to cuddle up in their arms. They're so amazing. What if he had had that experience from either...
Yeah, you heard it here, folks. He screwed me up. I would have been perfect if not for that bedtime issue.
I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry. Okay. Next son. So, same thing. This time I was busier, more tired, less bandwidth for parenting. And so what we did was, I'm not proud of this, we put a lock on the inside of our room and just told him, you can't come in our room. We're sleeping. And sometimes, too often, we would wake up in the morning and this little guy was sleeping outside our room on the floor, no blanket, just fast asleep on the carpet outside our door. That doesn't feel like good parenting, folks. I am not proud of it. So in those instances, absolutely gentle parenting would have made the most sense. Hands down, I don't know who could argue against that. Children need to know that they are loved, they are nurtured, they are safe, and that they can go to their parents for anything, no matter what, right? And if you create barriers to that, are you really there for them in their time of need? And their time of need is as perceived by them. See, from my perspective, you're fine, right? You're not dying. Even when I used to do this with them cuts, it was no blood, no Band-Aid. I mean, I was like hardcore parenting. I think the nurturing parent who just is loved no matter what, if that's gentle parenting, I'm in favor of it. Now, there's an extreme. I've had numerous cases where you have, let's say, a 18 months to 3 or 4 or 5 and sometimes even older year-old kid who is just an absolute brat. They are demanding, they are screaming at their parents. Whatever they say, the parent jumps, right? Because they don't want them upset. They don't want to upset their child. And so they know it, and they are in charge. And mama and papa, you better step and fetch. Well, I got a problem with that. Now that's gentle parenting, maybe, if you want to call it that, whatever it is, or non-parenting, but it's gone awry. It's the other extreme of this, to where what's going to happen when that child wants you to buy them their heroin? And I had this case. I used to run an addiction clinic, and there was a she was little to me, 17-year-old young woman whose mother was buying her heroin, or else she would go through withdrawal and possibly die. That's obviously, I've taken it to an extreme. But you've all seen the kid who is throwing tantrums, and they're way too old to be throwing them. They're throwing tantrums for things they shouldn't be throwing tantrums for. You know, they want something and they're not getting it, so they throw a tantrum. It's time for parents to be parents. Children need boundaries, and children thrive with boundaries. Most children will thrive when they know what the boundaries are. They're specific, they make sense, and there's natural consequences when they're pushed beyond the boundary. I'm not advocating, the rod. I'm not advocating spanking. It almost never works. I have a story I've shared with so many of my patients about one of my sons who he would get so out of control, he would push. And I'd say, if you do that again, I'm going to have to spank you because he's out of control. And of course, he would do it because he was out of control. And I would spank him, feeling really bad about having to spank him because I don't spank my kids. I think he's the only kid I spanked twice. Both times where I warned him, don't do that, or I'm going to have to spank you, I would spank him. It didn't go well. The third time it was going to happen, I realized, oh my gosh, he needs a hug. Wrapped him in my arms, and everything got better. He was out of control. He needed help getting back in control. So I guess I have been a gentle parent once. Hopefully I've been a gentle parent way more than once.
You were.
But hopefully that's helpful. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of examples. Every situation is different. That's the fun thing about parenting, or one of the challenging things about parenting, is it's unique to the dynamic of you and your child. But if you're struggling, sometimes you need outside input to help guide you into, what might be the best approach here. At kidsfirstforever.com, my partner Dee Dee Hoover is an absolute master at coaching for behavioral issues. She coaches adults, she coaches parents, and she coaches kids, and helps kids through things you wouldn't think it would be possible. So keep that in your back pocket as an option if everything you're trying is failing, and she doesn't cost near as much as getting a coaching session with yours truly. I hope that was helpful, and keep the questions coming.